Welcome to today's video. This time I will talk about secret coaster gems. With that I mean some rides no one really talks about. A few of these deserve way more attention because they did a lot for the theme park and coaster industry, and some of these are just great thrill machines that seem like family coasters. Let's start with Juwelen. Juwelen is Jules Summerland's Interman family launch coaster. It really doesn't look like much on first glance, and in the morning it's not that interesting. But once this thing is warmed up, you are in for a surprise. Looking at the stats, you are gonna notice that this is a long ride with a track length of 1000 meters. This is actually the longest ride in all of Denmark. While the top speed of 85 kilometers per hour is also quite solid, it doesn't seem to be a crazy thrill ride. Juwelen features 2 tire-propelled launches, and the part after the first one really is what you'd expect. Rather tame and not too forceful, but once you hit the second launch and enter the second half of the ride, this becomes an intense thrill coaster. You'll go through many intense turns and whippy low to the ground transitions. So it really is a great coaster, and it's a great supporting coaster for Piraten. I really recommend riding this coaster in the afternoon when it's warmed up. For the next ride, we stay in Denmark, but head over to Tivoli Gardens where we find Rutschebahn. This is a small-scale wooden coaster with mountain theming, and while the stats are not promising a lot, there is more to this woody. First of all, this ride is unbelievably old. It opened way back in 1914, making it the second oldest still operating coaster. It is also one of the few remaining coasters with a brakeman. On the one hand, this thing is great because it's over 100 years old and still operates. On the other hand, it's great because it has thrilling elements despite its age. You're gonna get crazy laterals and good airtime, and these forces can get even crazier with a brakeman that doesn't brake a whole lot. On this coaster, you are in for a unique, nostalgic and really fun experience. Leaving Denmark, down in Germany we find Nessie at Hansapark. This 40-year-old Schwarzkopf looping coaster is family oriented, but this can be a great thrill machine if you know how to ride it. When riding Nessie, you want to sit in the back section of the train, in one of the 4 last rows to be exact. A ride that normally only has its powerful vertical loop as its thrilling element becomes so much more on the back. If you have some room between you and your lap bar, then you will get some great airtime. There are 4 airtime moments during the ride. On the first drop, there is some solid Flowjector airtime, but it is nothing compared to what's coming. After the loop, which is really intense, and a wide turn, you hit the mid-course brake run, which does not slow you down. And right after the mid-course, there is a small drop. And that drop is where it's at. Extreme ejector airtime. It might not be sustained, but it really is the best of ejector. Every time I ride in the back, I'm almost standing in the train. Right after this drop, there is a small hill which provides slight floater airtime, but more importantly, a great headchopper moment. You get airtime and a headchopper at the same time, which really is a bit frightening. You're then entering the double Helix. It's just there to give you a nice view of the surrounding area, but then there is Nessie's final drop. There is some good Flowjector airtime, but here I recommend to cover your ears, because the following brakes are very loud. Nessie doesn't seem to be the craziest ride, and it's not even that long, but man, it delivers. For the next ride, we head to the west coast of the United States. There we find Manta at Seaworld San Diego. And on first glance, this Mug Rides multi-launch coaster from 2012 seems to be a family ride. The ride is not tall, not fast, and it has an average length. But there are quite a few reasons why I really like this coaster. I only had one visit to SeaWorld San Diego, that was way back in 2016, but I really fell in love with this coaster. At the end of my visit, I rode this coaster again and again and again. And I'm not going to call this coaster tame, but it's not intense. It's somewhere in between that. It's really fun and a special experience. This is one of the few rides that helped SeaWorld get more into the coaster business. Many of these modern day rides really have to be intense or have great airtime to satisfy me. But this is one of the few rides where I would make an exception. If you like coasters or not, this ride is for everyone. Sure, really small children can't or shouldn't ride with this, but most people can do this. And no one ever talks about this. I think the ride has a big problem because it's at SeaWorld San Diego. If it would be at SeaWorld Orlando, I think it would be more talked about. Staying in the United States, we have a Gemini at Cedar Point next. Another rather old ride, which I think deserves more attention. This aerodynamic dueling hybrid coaster from the 1970s truly is fantastic. Like Manta, it might not be that thrilling, but it's just a lot of fun. The dueling aspect surely is one of the reasons why I enjoy Gemini so much, but there are a few other great things as well. It has great head-chopper moments on some of the drops, a great first drop, some airtime, and an awesome finality. Those are the main things that show how good this ride actually is. The ride sadly suffers from being at Cedar Point, where it gets overshadowed by a lot of rides. Before we come to the last coaster of the video, my best Gemini ride, out of the 4 I got, was definitely during Coaster Kids Day, where 2 trains full of coaster kids raced. Absolutely unforgettable. The last coaster that I think deserves way more attention is Tivoli Wind at Toverland. Like Nessie and Juwelen, Tivoli Wind doesn't seem to be all that crazy. My expectations for this mug ride spinning coaster were kinda low, and I thought it would be a family ride. But turns out I was wrong. The best way to describe this is a thrill coaster in disguise. The spinning, together with the layout, are quite forceful, and it's like that from start to finish. I'd say don't expect an extreme ride, but don't think it's just a family coaster that you ride for the credit. Tivoli Wind also shows that size doesn't really matter when it comes to coaster quality. And there you go. These are the rides that I think are secret coaster gems. Which rides do you think deserve more attention? Thanks for watching. Bye.